There's nothing quite like spending a cold, extended weekend in January with the pure chaos of Anarchy Light cinema, with films such as Saw X, which I watched, Dogma, and Uncle Buck. I'd never seen Saw X. I have a lot of thoughts about each of these films and why I think that they kind of share a relationship one to another. Each is pretty daring and sort of spits in the face of social norms, starting with Uncle Buck, this rebellious, child-free uncle who comes to watch the kids while the family's off doing an adult family thing. They have this perfect house. You know, it's all put together. Uncle Buck comes in, he's kind of crazy, breaks the fine china early on. Macaulay Culkin there in early, before Home Alone, the sort of cautious and worry of him as is a teenage daughter here that you'll see again in another John Hughes film. If I'm not mistaken, he's crude, he's crass, he's family, and he's really defends the young daughter in the face of a really disturbing young man who's going after her. He has this kind of fascist light attitude, I would say, very alpha male. But Uncle Buck's having none of that and chases him around and actually throws him in the back of the trunk at one part. That's funny. You've never seen that. I like what Uncle Buck has to say about how we treat each other in society, how we have to band together in non-traditional ways. And he takes this girl out bowling, and he defends her there. Uncle Buck might be quiet at times and he might seem a little weird, but he's always scary and he's always got a little bit of an edge and he's always ready to defend his family, no matter what, despite the trappings of social customs and politeness and high society. I don't know. I'm probably reading too much into Uncle Buck, but I had some of these thoughts going through my head as I was watching, and maybe that's because I had just come off of Dogma. And I don't think I'm reading too much into Dogma. Dogma is anarchy at its best. Is that the right word? Probably not. Dysfunction? No, it's not a dysfunctional film. It's a film that takes structure, narratively especially, throws it out the window. It's a grand satire of everything, and I think it's 20 years ahead of its time at least. This was late 90s, before a lot of different religious factions had completely thrown all of their own doctrines and theologies out the window. George Carlin is a Catholic priest or something? And he's working on this thing with the church to where there's this like new dedication ceremony or something. And if Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, who are like fallen angels or some kind of thing from heaven, if they go through it, then they destroy existence. So because of that, Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith, Jay and Silent Bob, they have to help this woman because they're prophets. And then there's all these angels and demons and half-baked prophets and there's another disciple of Jesus played by Chris Rock. This is a really clever movie. I cannot believe how good a Dogma actually is, despite some of its own eccentric elements, such as a giant walking pile of poo. Really entertaining stuff. I don't know if when I was watching this film, I was expecting it to be a little bit goofier, right? Because I hadn't seen it forever. I was expecting it to be a little bit more like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, which I like but don't love. And maybe not quite as subtle in some ways as Clerks is, all those films from the Kevin Smith world. But no, there's some legitimately good jabs at specific pieces of religious faith and doctrine. It's a smart movie. In fact, I could actually see it kind of being a little bit boring for a lot of folks who don't understand all the elements. But it's funny. And I like the fact that, there's a Virgin Mary kind of figure here in, what was her name? Linda Fiorentino. She's sort of like that. It's good. It kind of, again, it spits all over convention and structure and sort of does its own thing, including a very fun God. But nothing quite prepared me for the return of Jigsaw in Saw 10, which is supposed to be placed after the events of Saw 1. And it's a very simple concept. It's actually just a vengeance western. Is really all it is, put with horror trappings around it. But the guy, Tobin Bell, John Kramer, who's the main person who orchestrates the events of Saw in the Saw world there, he's trying to cure his cancer, and in the process of that, he goes to Mexico, and he ends up caught up in this world of con artists and double-crossers and backstabbers, all kind of related to this medical establishment thing. And a lot of people get caught in Saul traps as a result of this, and it questions the very nature, I think, of what justice and vengeance are and should be. What is fairness? What are the rules of the game? What is the game of life? Again, very, in my mind, and a little bit of anarchy to it. I use that term very loosely, but I liked it. I mean, I think it's like a pretty big pile of slasher kills in some ways, and it's kind of gross. There's a really good, I told you it was a Western, there's a really good, what do you call it, lasso scene. So if you think about this as being a horror Western and you see the lasso part, you might be like, oh, it's kind of a clever little nod to that. I think that's what it's supposed to be. I don't know. But it's just something, as I was going through it, I kind of had on my mind. In each of these films, I did feel, I liked how they played with tradition a little bit. Just some thoughts I had. These aren't, I don't know if any of these are like the actual greatest films. I would say this is about the order I would rank them. Dogma being the best, Uncle Buck here, and then Saul probably. But they're pretty good. I'd watch each of these again. So if you ever out, thrifting, you might find some DVDs you like. That's just some stuff I've been messing with there. Did any of these grand philosophical themes I'm touching on here, any of that you agree with? Let me know. If you like the video, you want to click a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. And subscribe to Cody in the Cinema.